flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to the Wednesday, January 18th, 2023 council meeting. Let's start by calling a roll, please.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Here.
Mr. Hamer,
Here.
Mr. Lowry, Mr. Rupel,
Here.
Mr. Scholes,
Here.
Mr. Smolik,
Here.
Mr. Ziegler,
All right, thank you. Moving on to the reading and approval of the minutes of the January 4th, 2023 council meeting. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Councilman Smolik, seconded by Councilman Fenstermaker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Rupel,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Moving on to department reports, it's Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President Rupel. You have our department reports for the month of December. You can see it was a busy month for us. I just wanted to commend the officers on their efforts over the month. We had several OVI arrests and several criminal arrests related to traffic with where they recovered guns and drugs from vehicles. The work they've been doing, as you can see in the numbers, is really second to none based on the staffing that we do have. We received a complaint, I think it came in through the mayor's office as well, about some traffic issues over on Kirtland Chardon with cars passing in the morning between 7 and 8. We did go out this morning for a targeted enforcement detail. Conducted 8 stops between 7 and 8, issued 4 citations, and ended up with 1 arrest off of that hour's worth of work. So they did an excellent job again today. And then finally, you have there the changes to the animals at large ordinance, where I've requested some to be able to kind of step up the penalty for the continuing violations as they come in through the year. As we discussed in the previous session, had some issues with residents that have had multiple violations, and this is just a way for us to be able to progressively enforce this to let residents know it is a serious matter, that it is a cause for concern for other residents, and that it's something that we need to take seriously in terms of enforcement. That'll conclude my report, and I'm open for any questions.
Chief, where did you say that enforcement was today?
Kirtland Chardon Road.
Chief, can you speak to the governor signing the bill on was it first offense for texting and driving?
That it's a primary offense.
Primary offense.
So you could
So what did you want to know specifically about it?
How is that being rolled out? Are we just hitting people with that ticket if we see them texting, or are we kind of rolling it out?
Yeah. So what the governor signed was the fact that using your mobile phone is a primary offense now. So if officers see somebody that's on their phone, they have the right to pull them over. Previously, they had to have some other violation or moving violation or equipment issue that required them to stop the vehicle. But now if they just see that person, they have the right to stop and initiate a traffic stop at that time.
And that still doesn't take away discretion. So an officer can stop someone and give them a warning for that violation as well. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Mr. Fernaro?
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be brief tonight. We're up to 15 snow events now. That's up 4 from the last time we talked. Again, like to thank the crew. The team does a great job. And I'm open for any questions.
Questions? All right, thank you. Mr. Courtney?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. 2022 Streets Project, the final change order and final payment certificate have been signed by the contractor and returned. We're waiting on closeout documents from the contractor on the final pay certificate. The final construction cost for the work was $1,033,454, $1,033,454.15. I think the original contract was up around 1.299 million. Old Town sanitary sewer improvements, bid opening for that project, phase 1 of that project was today. That work includes Eisenhower and Elm from the north end up to Maple Avenue. 2 bids were received for the project. The apparent low bidder was Shivers Construction out of Western Pennsylvania at $951,683. That's about 6% over the estimate. Results are unofficial until the bids are checked and references and everything else, so I should have that bid tabulated at the end of the week and returned to the county. Stormwater projects, Fox Hill Drainage, we're still anticipating a construction start in mid-March. The Rockwood Stormwater Basin, plans and specs are still in progress. And the Parkwood area drainage improvements, the revised concept plan from Davie Resource Group was reviewed by Joe and I, and we have no additional comments on that concept plan. The project would make improvements to the stream channel from Route 6 all the way to Beechwood, then roadside ditch improvements west along Beechwood Drive to Crestwood, and then along Crestwood to Oakwood. The conceptual cost estimate for that at this point is about $384,000. That includes engineering, permitting, all the new plantings, invasive plant species control, and so forth. So the next step is to try and seek funding for that project. That concludes my report. Happy to take any questions.
No. Yeah, I had a question. I don't know if it's for you or Joe. I know I sent something with Matt this week about a property over in Silver Fox, Quail Circle or whatever. And I think maybe one of you were going to talk to the Chagrin Watershed about maybe getting some funding for some help over there.
I did reach out to the watershed partners, and they gave us a list of potential grant opportunities. A lot of them require returning a channel like that back to more of a natural meandering stream, which in that particular area we don't have room for. So we'll be following up with them to explore some other avenues.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Sleipnecker?
Thank you, Council President Rupel. The year has been closed, and I've distributed the 12/31/2022 end-of-year reports. They've been posted to the website. There's quite a bit to discuss. However, for the purpose of this meeting, I'd like to stay focused on a high-level review and answer any questions that you may have on the end-of-year 2022. Earlier this evening, I did provide Council a document titled Summary of Year-End Revenues, Expenditures, and Fund Balances that I would like to quickly review here this evening. Now that we have been in our new accounting system for 3 years, you do get 3 years worth of comparable history here. So if you'd like to pull up that document, you'll see there's sections for changes in the year-end balances, changes in year-end revenues when compared to prior years, and changes in year-end expenditures plus encumbrances as it relates to comparables from prior years. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the year-end fund balances. Overall, the operating fund unencumbered balances, again, that's funds 100 through 229. And what I mean by unencumbered balances, those are our cash balances less any encumbrances, gives you those fund balances, okay? So overall, when compared to last year, that total decreased a total of $323,000 from where we ended 2021. Of that decrease, $333,000 is directly related to the decrease in Fund 217, which is the ARPA funding. Those came in two different installments, okay? So actually, when you take the ARPA out of that equation, just again, because that's a one-time grant, the overall operating unencumbered fund balances increased around $10,000. So how did we end up here? Well, from a high-level review, let's break it down between the revenues and expenditures. So the city's operating fund revenues increased approximately $1 million from the prior year, and the city's operating fund expenditures plus encumbrances increased approximately $2.5 million from the prior year. Okay? So in regards to that $1 million increase in revenues, what makes that up specifically? Income tax is up around $700,000 from last year. Okay. When you actually compare it to 2020, we're up over $1 million from that point. Okay. So just again, comparing 2022 to 2021, income tax revenue is up around $700,000. Property tax in total is up around $130,000 as it relates to the revaluation that we had in previous year. Our local government revenues are up around $24,000. Gas and motor vehicle tax actually came in under from prior year, around $5,000. And our ambulance billing revenue is up $25,000. So out of that $1 million increase over the prior year from the revenues, those items that I just mentioned account for $865,000. In addition to that, we did sell the roller in 2022, which was another $50,000. So when you actually take that into consideration, you're up over $900,000. So just wanted to clarify what that increase of those revenues were from the prior year. So in regards to the expenditure side of things, which shows on this sheet an increase of $2.3 million from the prior year, the significant items that make up that increase, I'll just read them out to you. The general fund transfers for capital items increased $1.1 million from the previous year. General fund transfers for debt service increased almost $26,000. General fund transfers for pensions increased $92,500. Medical benefits were up $180,000. Again, if you remember, in 2021 we had 10 payments, and in 2022 we had 12 payments. Our gross wages, when compared to 2021, were up $170,000. A significant portion of that relates to the 2% wage increases that are in the collective bargaining agreements. During the year, we actually amended a couple different times as it related to fuel. Our fuel costs were up quite a bit, about $57,000. ARPA funding, again, $695,000, and major capital improvement debt transfer of $59,000. So out of that increase in our expenditures of approximately $2.5 million, the items that I just named account for $2.3 million. So really, in summary, overall, between the cost-saving measures from previous years and increases in significant revenue sources from 2022, as I previously discussed, the city was able to invest significant dollars into capital expenditures for 2022. If you remember, in our final amendment, we added 2 service department trucks and we had 2 police vehicles. In addition to the capital items, the city has been able to remain aggressive with its debt paydown, specifically the various purpose note. This note had a balance of $2.4 million in 2020, with 23 separate items financed with that various purpose note, 23 items. It currently sits at $1,603,000 with 13 items remaining on that note.
What was that number, Louis?
There were 23 items in 2020 with the balance of $2.4 million, 2405 to be exact. It has 13 items remaining with $1,603,000. Okay, the city also paid off the roller in 2021, and most recently, we paid off the front end loader this January of 2023. Okay. Although these are all good things, we have much more work to do as it relates to our unfunded capital requests and our debt structure. If you recall, the city borrowed an additional $2 million related to the 2021 street improvement project. At that time, rates were low, and with significant increases recently in rates, one major topic of conversation going forward will relate to remaining in the short-term note market or bonding these items out. So just wanted to give council, ahead of time that we're going to be looking at the cost savings with keeping in the short-term market or going out to bond for some of these items. So I'll look to provide more details to council as we move into the 2023 budget process.
Louis, relative to the short-term market, we can stay there 5 years or 7 years?
It's 5 years, and then you still have to start paying on the principal. So that concludes my quick report. Yeah.
Yeah, let's have two questions. Two things stand out for me. One is income tax up $700,000. Is that related to COVID over the last couple of years?
It's absolutely related to the work from home. It's absolutely related. Now, we don't know if that will, stay, depending on when these companies, if and do they call their employees back, or if it just is going to be, that going forward.
And then my second question was related to pension. Up $92,000 over fiscal year 21 and around the same in 2020. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, part of it is, if you remember in that final council meeting that we had, the pension months, how they line up, we actually had a 3 pay period pension month in 2022, as opposed to in 2021, it would have been a 2 pay pension month in that last month. So part of it was that. In addition to that, anytime there's raises within the CBAs, there's additional overtime, that sort of thing, that contributes always to their pensions.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Mr. Lalo?
I love the detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just brief update. As it relates to some of the drainage and easements, I did send a letter to that resident, Mr. Hamer. I don't know if you were clued in on that, but we did communicate with that person. Just confirming certain issues with that. We've been working with the city regarding a lot of that. It's been very busy at the prosecutor's office, at Willoughby Municipal Court. Police department's been doing a great job keeping everybody safe. So kudos to them. I know we had a resident here a couple weeks ago who expressed concern about a case. I did speak with her at length after the meeting and between then and now as well. I tied, just so everyone's aware, I did tie her in. There's a victim advocate at the court. They work typically with, I wouldn't say all crimes of violence cases, but they're there as an asset and resource. So I tied the resident in with that person as well. Saw her in court on Tuesday, was able to make the connection and help them through that process. I also spoke with a resident about the grass ordinance, who was questioning some of the issues with enforcement as it relates to that. So, and I know we've talked about that previously as well, as a city trying to make sure that we can keep on it for the surrounding residents that have those issues. Really, aside from that, I don't have too much else to offer unless you have questions for me.
Questions? Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President Rupel. I will be entirely brief here if I can be. We've got a good meeting after the meeting. I always enjoy this one annually when we get a chance to sit with our Planning and Zoning Board and our BZA members and council. And this year happens to also, we'll be working in the comprehensive plan discussion as part of this meeting too. So I will try to be brief. So first and foremost, I do want to congratulate Mr. Hamer for his award from the Kirtland Kiwanis as the Kirtland Kiwanis Citizen of the Year. We had a chance, a few of us, to be at that dinner, Kiwanis dinner last week. That nobody in my mind is more deserved. I said it that night, and I stand by that. What Scott does for this community, day in and day out, a lot of people don't realize. Most people don't realize. So thank you to Mr. Hamer. Now that he got that award, I hope he doesn't bail on us. Talked about the comprehensive plan discussion. Looking forward to that here this evening. And we'll have Eddie Eckert here and Dion Dimitro as well to kind of walk us through that and where we're at. And then I did receive a couple phone calls today from Mr. Lowry and Smolik and Hamer related to this the 0.5% income tax, sales tax increase by the county and county commissioners specifically just last week. So they actually informed me, and I hadn't seen this yet, that the city of Mentor passed a resolution asking the commissioners to reconsider and potentially rescind their most recent initiative to raise the sales tax. I would ask council to consider talking with the law director about bringing something like that to the next meeting, a resolution to at least have the discussion. I think it's going to hit a lot of folks pretty hard here in the county, and I think it's going to hit a lot of businesses pretty hard. So my request would be to at least consider that and potentially bring that forward to the next meeting. I had a chance to talk to Mr. Rupel about it before the meeting, and that I had those conversations as well. So, I'd be happy to hear your positions and takes on it, and if you guys are interested in considering a resolution at our next meeting.
I think it's a great idea. I fully support a resolution just like Mentor did to get the point across.
They've already started on it. I'll forward it over to Mr. Lallo.
So with nothing else from me, again, I said I'd try to be brief, so I'm open for questions.
Questions? None? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is standing committee reports. I don't have any for tonight. What? Oh, we do? Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a very exciting utilities meeting on Saturday. I'll send you the notes. Basically, we talked about everything on the agenda and changing a few things and trying to make things better and up to date.
All right, thank you. Short and sweet. I didn't receive any new correspondence. Now we're up to public comments on matters not on the agenda. If anyone present here would like to come forward, I just ask that you provide your name and address if you choose to do so. So again, if there's an opportunity here for anyone from the public, if they wish to come forward. It doesn't appear so. So I will move on. Old business. Public comments on agenda items of old business. We have one piece of old business tonight. If anyone here would like to come forward with respect to any public comments with respect to the piece of old business on the agenda. All right, not seeing any. We'll move on to resolution number 23R-1. This is a second reading, a resolution declaring intent to conduct an internet auction for the sale of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit personal property of the city of Kirtland and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings?
Second.
We have a motion to waive the 3 readings by Councilman Schultz, seconded by Councilman Smolik. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Rupel.
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Schultz, seconded by Councilman Fenstermaker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Rupel,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. This is a public comments on agenda items of new business. We have a couple pieces of legislation tonight. If there's anyone here that is present would like to come forward with any respect to any public comments of items of new business. Doesn't appear so. So we'll move on. Resolution number 23-R-2. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the replacement of bridge number LAK-306-0433 located on State Route 306, PID 89230, and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Motion to waive the 3 readings by Councilman Lowry, seconded by Councilman Smolik. Is there any discussion?
We spoke on this in the earlier meeting. If we could just talk about what this
Mr.
pertains to, allows them to go out for the bid for
This
which
is just
This is for the 3 readings. Next up. Yeah.
Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Rupel,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Abstain?
Mr. Smolik,
yes.
Motion to declare emergency and adopt.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lowry, seconded by Councilman Fenstermaker. Now, Joe, you want to discuss it?
Ghetto.
There's potential additional. Okay, I think they just wanted it. For
Just
the
kind of a
public record.
repeat for the public session.
So ODOT's bid contains 2 alternates suggested by Joe and I to ODOT. One is for powder coating the railing that will go on the parapet. The other is for staining the concrete. They're going to be using a form liner that'll be a kind of a boulder pattern along the inside of the bridge. And the alternate is to stain that so it looks like boulders as opposed to just paint. Right? So those are the 2 alternates that are in the bid. It hasn't gone out to bid yet. And what was the cost estimate? $25,000. So that would be the difference between their estimate right now. That's the difference between the base bid and what the alternates would cost, right? So ODOT will pay for what they would normally pay for. If we want anything extra, we'll pay the difference. However, we do have the right to refuse the alternates if they come in too high or if we just don't want them, right? So we still will have that option at the time the bids are open, and we know what those numbers are. We can refuse to have the alternates employed.
So is this to match, I'm sorry, is this to match basically what they did up on the 306 bridge? Would it be the same similar type look?
Yes.
And just to clarify, this will come, in front of council again with those with that bid package, so we understand what the true cost of this will be. So tonight, we're just approving to go out to bid for this.
Correct. ODOT needs this legislation so they can continue and go to bid with the project.
So we don't like the cost, it's going to come in front of us, we can say no. We go
Correct.
back to where we were.
Right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Rupel,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Abstain?
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on, ordinance number 23-0-3, an ordinance amending codified ordinance section 618.02 relating to dogs and other animals at large within the city of Kirtland and declaring an emergency. And I believe we're going to let this go for at least another reading. So now, next item on the agenda is council comments. Does anyone on council have any comments at the current time? Okay. Hearing none. Down to continuing concerns. If anyone from the public here would like to address council, it's another final opportunity here. Again, come forward, name, address, and I don't see any movement. So we're down to adjournment. Looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Fenstermaker and seconded by Councilman Lowry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?